stand up, give it up for Mr. Bob Cox.
Good morning. Good morning. It's my pleasure, it's my joy to be here today to share with you my thoughts on finding the billionaire in you. This is a book that I put together in a DVD series about 3 years ago, started working on it, and we've had a lot of success with it, sold it all over the world, and now I give occasional speeches on it, as Alex was nice enough to point out. We also are myself and my wife Karen, who's over here in the corner, yes, my wife Karen, 32 years. 32 years she's been helping me with everything in my life, and so I really want to thank Karen. In addition, I want to thank all the members of the Early to Rise readership and you all that are here today for this conference at Prophets in Paradise, as well as Mary Ellen and Charlie and the whole gang from Early to Rise. I know it's very, very kind for everyone to have me here. And so now we begin, because it's a very important issue today, and that is, how do you become a billionaire? Now, not many people know how to do this, because it's not something that happens every day in everyone's life. I know, for example, there's usually about 300 or 400 billionaires in the world. And if you take out the Walmart heirs and the Saudi princesses and get down to just the people who learned it from scratch and started with zero, you end up with about 100 or 150 people. That's not many people in the world at any time that ever became billionaires. Interestingly enough, I had the opportunity to work with 4 of them. And the 4 people I worked with, I started with a gentleman named Roy Spear, and Roy was truly the financial genius behind Home Shopping Network. Roy, myself, and Bud Paxson were the original partners and founders of Home Shopping Channels, which became Home Shopping Network. And so I had an opportunity to see him, and then from that point, once I retired from that and moved on, we had an opportunity to work with some other people, and they were on their way to becoming billionaires and became billionaires. So when I looked back after a significant period of time and said to myself, wow, I wonder what their common qualities are, that's when I decided to write The Billionaire in You, because everyone here has the opportunity to become a billionaire. Everyone here can learn to think like them and be like them. My perspective, the fact that I had a front row seat for over 30 years to watch these people, different ones, 4 different billionaires, work, think, act, behave, I said, you know, I've never read a book anywhere about how billionaires think or how they become wealthy. What they usually do is tell you, oh, I bought this, I sold this, I bought this, I sold that. I mean, what do we learn from that? We don't have enough money to buy those things. So we have to learn to think like they think, and we have to understand, and this is very important, what makes them different. And that is what this conversation, and it's a conversation with Robert L. Cox, because this is the only time you'll see me on stage during this conversation. And the rest of the time, I'm going to be down here with you all. And so having said that, I'm going to come down. Whoops, here we go. And say hello to everyone. Once again, Alexander, Meg, my pleasure. A man way over here. Here we go. Andrew, how are you doing, my friend? Nice to see you. Now, what we have to do is, and I'm not going to ask many things of you. There's going to be no PowerPoints, no presentations. You'll see a phrase up here in just a minute, and there it is, and we'll talk about that. But I'm going to leave that up. That is going to stay up here the whole time. That's my whole PowerPoint presentation. The rest of this is you all talking to me and me talking to you and me sharing with you how billionaires think. Now, I'm only going to ask one thing of you today, and that is, if you have a piece of paper, I'd like you to draw a line right down the middle of it. Just right down the middle. The only request I have all day. And it's pretty important because it's the only one I'm going to ask. Okay, everybody got their piece of paper? Everybody ready? On the left-hand side, I would like if you would write billionaire qualities that I have. Now, each and every one of you are going to have many of the qualities that you'll hear me talk about the next 2 hours. And when you recognize one of these qualities, I want you to make note of it. Okay? Now, on the right-hand side of that paper, I want you to write billionaire qualities I will acquire or develop. Because on the right-hand side, as we go through this conversation and interact with each and every one of you, you're going to say, you know, Bob's discussing that, but I don't do that. Well, let's write that one down too, Alexander. You know what I mean? Because that's, that's the value of having, you know, coming to the conferences so that we can learn the things that we don't know. Now, for each and every person, it's going to be different. It's going to be different for Ed, because Ed's going to be different than Alexandra. It really is. And I've got my friend here, Beverly. Hi, Beverly. Bob Cox. Thank you for joining us this morning. It's my pleasure. Thank you so much. And so, each and every one of us are going to make note of this throughout the conversation. And at the end, then when you go home tonight, or get on your plane, or hop in your car, you're going to be able to review it and say, okay, here's what I have to work on. Because I've got all these other qualities, and you may find you have, my experience is that most of us have about 60% of these qualities. It's the other 40% that we really want to work on, and they're going to be different for each and every person. They're going to be different for Michael. Hi, Michael. Bob Cox. Thanks for joining me. David. Bob Cox. Thanks for joining me. And different for David. So, now, having said that, once we start in Florida, and I'll kind of give you a little background. When I came to Florida, and I came here, I'll be 60 years old. Seems like that's old. I'll be 60 years old in July. And I came here when I was 5 years old. I was born in Indianapolis, Indiana. So I came here in 1954. Now, you all might be thinking, what was here in 1954? Well, I'll share with you what was here. Palm trees and bugs. We had palm trees and we had bugs. And we also didn't have something that I really would have liked to have had, and that is air conditioning. We did not have air conditioning. Now, that was tough, very difficult. You'll never fully appreciate receiving an education in Florida schools as I did in high school, junior college, when there's no fans, there's no air conditioning, it's May, it's 106 heat index, and someone's up there droning on about Algebra 3 and trig. It's like, oh my God, does it get any worse than this? And the answer is not much. It's about as bad as it gets. But along around 1970, air conditioning came to Florida in a large scale. You know, somewhere in the 60s, you know, the bowling lanes, the movie theaters, a very fine restaurant might have air conditioning, but it didn't come everywhere till around the 1970s. And then everybody moved to Florida. So everybody moves to Florida. That's a great thing, because when everybody comes here, what do people need? They need to have products, and they need to have services, Phyllis. I mean, if you moved here, I mean, you're going to need a home. You're going to need a Walmart. Got to have a Walmart. Got to have a Starbucks. I mean, we got to have these things. And so somebody has to build them. Someone has to manage them. Someone has to create all the homes we're all going to live in. Isn't that correct? You want a home to live in when you're here? So it has air conditioning. There you go. So all of a sudden, everybody moves here. And so anyone who was here, already here, thought, wow, how can we, Mindy, make some money off these nice people who are moving from up north? And better yet, how can we make a lot of money off these nice people? And so I was fortunate enough to work with a gentleman named Roy Spear. And Roy, as I said, Roy was truly the financial genius of Home Shopping Network, and the gentleman who taught me if not in fact most of what I know. And one of the things we came up with, and we used to, we would work all day, and then we would go to the local bar. It was called Smugglers, and we would drink adult beverages. Now, for those of you that would be better if I went to church and read the Bible, I used to do that. But it was more fun actually at Smugglers, drinking the adult beverages and talking to everybody about how rich we were going to become. So that's where I was. And we would sit there and talk about ideas and ideas, and so we came up with an idea. And the idea was we were going to sell items on television. We were going to have a 24-hour commercial, only it was going to be live with people that you would like. You know, everyday people. You know, pleasant guy, attractive girl, not too attractive a girl, because then the wives wouldn't let the husbands watch. that's true. We learned that from Home Shopping Network. You want people that people just go, oh, isn't she pleasant? Or, oh, isn't he nice? Don't want real handsome, good-looking people because then everybody go, oh, I'm not watching that all the time. So we came up with the idea to sell items on television 24 hours a day. And we came up with this idea because we read some numbers about how many millions of people, even in 1980, were buying items in catalogs. Read an article in the paper, and it said, millions of people are buying, remember the Woolworths catalog, Sears catalog, Neiman Marcus catalog? Millions of people buying things in catalogs. And we're thinking, why would people buy things in catalogs when they could go to the mall? Well, the answer to that question is, very simply, is that to go to the mall, it's either hot or cold when you park your car. You've got to park your car half a mile away, and you've got to go through 120 stores to find your item. Kind of inconvenient when you think about it. So, and if you are someone who's real busy, like I know Mindy is, aren't you busy, Mindy?
Oh, yes.
Now, wouldn't it be nicer if you could just turn on the TV, see all these items, punch in a number, and then they'd send it to you in a couple of days? Well, that's what we thought. And it was such a great idea. It was such a great idea, Michael, that because we thought of this. Of course, we were drinking at the time. And so, you know how your jokes seem funnier and how you think women are more attractive to you when you drink? I mean, that happens to me all the time. And I think, gosh, I'm a really funny guy. I mean, 3 glasses of wine in, I think, wow, I'm really funny and smart. Well, so we were thinking, well, maybe we ought to do this when we're sober. So we did it. So we still thought, wow, what a great idea, Barbara. I said, this is fabulous. And Roy said it was fabulous, and Bud Paxton, the other co-founder, said, I love it too. So we just immediately start planning beautiful offices. Beautiful offices, because new business, we got to have a beautiful office. We're going to have the best cameras. We're going to get all new cameras. We can't come and get used cameras because it's a new business. We have to get beautiful cameras. And of course, we're going to hire the best employees, Daniel. Hi, Daniel. Bob Cox, how are you? Nice to see you. Thank you for coming. And so we got all these plans. And we're thinking, well, the other thing we have to do is take the time to make sure, because we know everyone's going to be so fabulously interested in investing money in this, that we're going to have to limit the number of people we offer it to. Because, everybody's going to want to invest in it. And because we had all the drawings made up by an architect and, everything, pro formas, it was all great. So anyway, off we go. We get all this done. And we go out to the investors and the banks and the venture capitalists. And you know what everybody said? They said, that idea is not very good. They said, actually, it's terrible. And we're not going to invest a dime of our money in it. We were like, wow, you're kidding. I mean, this sounded so good at Smugglers when we were drinking. It sounded so good. We got money and architectural drawings and all this sort of thing. So then we go back, and we say, wow, we've got to have a backup plan, don't we, Barbara? Got to have a backup plan, because we still want to do this. So, we were going to hire MBAs, Harvard graduates, people graduating from the film school. I mean, we had a fabulous budget to hire all these really talented people. But we didn't have that. So next thing you know, we're out buying used cameras. We rent space for our studio in an abandoned strip center on US 19 in Clearwater, Florida. True story. There used to be a Winn-Dixie. It's not exactly, fabulous. And remember all the Harvard graduates and MBAs I was going to hire? Well, did you ever see the people along the side of the road, little signs say, we'll work for food? Remember those guys? See those guys? We'll work for food. Hired a bunch of them. We didn't have the money. Well, the budget wasn't there because people didn't want to invest in our home shopping channels, which became Home Shopping Network. So the moral of the story is that while it's fine to have great plans, but you got to aim for good, as Michael Masterson says, and then aim for better. You got to start somewhere. You have to take action and start if you believe in your product or service. So we did this. It became Home Shopping Channels. It became Home Shopping Network. It became really kind of part of the language. I remember when we first were popular and came out, I mean, the Academy Awards, everybody used to mention cubic zirconias and everything involved in it. I actually was the guy, it was Roy and I, who went to a jeweler and said, now this happens to be a real diamond, but the problem with cubic zirconias was not the cubic zirconiums themselves, because they were shiny and beautiful and pretty. It was that everyone put them in this really cheap, gold look-alike, and it would always end up on their hands, and it would melt away, and then it would look terrible and get all over their hands. And so we actually put cubic zirconias in real gold settings. You know how many of those things we sold? Millions. Millions. One decision. Did you buy one? Well, thank you, Phyllis. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. When I'm, for those of you that may not know, I'm a pilot, and I have my own plane, and I fly all around. And I want to thank you for buying that to help pay for my plane. Well, I appreciate that. When Home Shopping Channels came out on Channel 52 in Clearwater, Florida with Vision Cable, there were technicians that finally started calling in because people watched it so much, it burned the HSC logo into their television glass and into their screen. And so no matter what they were watching, it would say HSC because they watched it for so many hours. It was unbelievable. We took that from scratch, $140,000 investment, to $1 billion in sales in 5 years. It now sells $3 billion a year. And of course, the competition for that is QVC, which stands for quality, value, and convenience. I call it, they just took our idea. But having said that, Roy and I and Bud sold our interest some years ago, and now other people own it and other people run it. But we were the guys that started and found it. And the guy behind that whole thing, who was really the financial genius, was a gentleman named Roy Spear. And Roy was a man of great vision and great courage. I often called him the great man, and I still do. Roy's still alive. You could look him up on the internet, you know, 1.8 billion, 1.6 billion. You can look up Bud Paxson, our co-founder. He's there. You can look up Dennis Fontaine, the founder of Discount Auto Parts. You know, and Harris Rosen of Rosen Hotels and Resorts, another gentleman I worked with for about 11 years after I initially retired. In fact, if you look across the street, you'll see the Rosen Center, 30-story hotel. That's one of his 7 in Orlando. And that's not even the biggest one. Biggest one's over here, Shingle Creek, right behind here, which I think is $400 million. And so, you know, these guys all had common qualities, though. They all had something that made them different. Now, here we're going to get into the speech. What do you think is the #1 quality that a billionaire has? What makes them different from everybody else in the world? Because there's only about 150 people that start from scratch, that make this from scratch. Their parents didn't have any money. They didn't know anybody. They moved to these cities, started businesses. All 4 of them the same. No money to start with. Parents didn't even have a dime. Didn't even give them $1 when they left the house. What quality do they have that makes them different? Ira, I'll ask you.
Belief in themselves.
A belief in themselves. Good, close. I like that. Well, we'll keep going. Barbara?
I say they believe they could be a billionaire.
Well, you got to start with believing it. Again, good idea. I'm going to walk over here and say hello to some of my friends over here. And you are? Celine? Any ideas?
They have wonderful ideas that they believe in.
Okay, I like that. You're close. You're close. We're moving over here to Jeff. Jeff Bob Cox, how are you? Nice to see you.
Burning desire.
Burning desire? You got to have a burning desire. Again, close. Now we're over here with Nancy. Bob Cox, how are you? Nice to see you.
I think they take action.
Wow, I like this. That's good. You are close. You are close. If we're playing hot and cold, you're very warm. I like that. Right behind me, Bob Cox.
John,
John, how are you?
repeat the question one more time.
The question is, what is the #1 quality that a billionaire has that makes them different?
A few extra zeros.
Well, there you go. There you go. Well, they didn't start with zeros, though.
No. They did here, though.
Well, yeah. They certainly learn and keep thinking. I agree with you. Well, the #1 quality that a billionaire has, and I've met 4 of them, and that's kind of what makes me unique, is the fact that I had a chance to work up close, personal, 7 days a week, 365 days a year with these individuals and observe them over a period of many, many years. The #1 quality is they have revelations. Revelations. Now, you're going to say to yourself, Bob, what is a revelation? Now, I'm going to go all the way here in the back, because in the back we have some members of the 2009 Goals Program. And back here we have my friend Derek and my friend Timothy. Derek, Nice to see you again. Timothy, great to see you again. He and I were in Boca together maybe been an elevator in Boca at a boot camp meeting down there. Now, do you know what a revelation is?
It's like, I guess a big word is epiphany. It's like an aha moment.
There you go. I love that. That's exactly what it is. Now, what happens is that have any of you ever walked into a room many, many times? Many times. I mean, you go to the same building. You know what I'm saying? Our same building. Gone in that room, that office, that building, and all of a sudden you're in this office, and you say to yourself, gosh, I never noticed that book over there, or that window up there on the left. And you think, gosh, I've come in this building for 5 years, and I've never noticed that. Have you ever done that? Mm-hmm. I mean, it happens, doesn't it? That's a revelation. Now, Wanda, have you ever seen a movie a second time?
Yes.
And when you saw the movie the second time, did you see more in the plot, more in the character, understand it better, see how things connected better?
Even more so, I used to show films to students in school.
Okay, so you,
Eighth time I looked at it, I saw something.
you still saw more, didn't you? Now, that's a revelation, and Timothy was so right, an aha moment. An aha moment. Now, Daniel, have you ever read a book a second time, or a contract a second time? Definitely. And, yeah, good idea to read them twice. Good idea. And then you go, wow, I didn't catch that the first time. Those are, as Timothy has correctly stated, aha moments. Those are revelations. Now, we understand now what makes the billionaire different. They have revelations. Now, we all have some revelations. We might have them once a month, once a week, maybe once a day. But billionaires have them all the time about people, places, contracts, everything they perceive or come in contact with. They see more than the average person does. They hear more, they feel more, they see more, and they act on what they hear, see, and feel. Now, it's nice to know how they do it. I mean, what they've done and what makes them different, but let's go back a dimension. Let's step behind the curtain, kind of like the Wizard of Oz, where, the wizard's behind the curtain. Let's go behind the curtain, because that's what I'm here today to assist you all with, is to go behind the curtain and see how they think, so you can learn to think like them, so you can think like a billionaire and make money like a billionaire and make decisions like a billionaire. This is what no one shares with you, and that's what makes this presentation special. So, okay, now I have to tell you what makes them so special, why they have the revelations. The reason is simple. They are a clear channel. Everything is in high definition. Remember when the old TVs, little rabbit ears, was all snowy? That's kind of the way most of us see the world. It's a lot of noise, a lot of white snow. We're always adjusting the rabbit ears. I wonder what they're saying. What does that mean? You know how we do that? If you're a billionaire, you're a clear channel. Everything's in high def. Before there was even high def, they're in high def. And that's really a good thing. Now, we want you all to become people who see the world in high definition. So how do we do that? Many might ask. And how we do it is we have to remove distractions from our lives. Everyone's heard the word focus. Timothy, Derek, we talk about focus a lot, don't we? You hear it on TV all the time. That athlete has to focus. That president has to focus. My wife needs to focus. My husband needs to focus. Everyone's supposed to be focusing. But, what does that mean? What it means is that we have to pay attention to everything that people say to us and everything we read and everything we hear. But to do that, we have to remove all the distractions from our mind. Now, what's interesting about billionaires, if you met Roy or Bud or Dennis or Harris, you would think, they're kind of regular guys. They're kind of friendly. They seem like kind of regular guys. Well, they are, but yet they're not. Have you ever seen those old movies from the 30s, Ed, where you got the mad scientist? And they got all the electrical forces coming out of them, and they're computing these incredibly difficult formulas and all kinds of things around, and lightning, and they really do look like mad scientists. Well, if you're going to be a billionaire, you kind of have to be like that. But if you present yourself that way to people, no one wants to loan you money because they think, wow, that guy's weird. You know, he looks like that weird science guy, you know. We don't want the weird science guy. We're not going to give him $5 million. So they have to decide to be a regular guy. Yet that's the way they are, because what they care about, what they think about, what matters to them every minute of every hour, Michael, of every day, is accomplishing their goals. And you know what their goals are centered around? Money. Money. Because they want the money. Now, as you notice, I don't have a PowerPoint. Everybody's probably picked up on that so far. I don't have a PowerPoint. I don't have a lot of slides, but I have like two. This is the second one here. It says, Finding the Billionaire in You, Money and Freedom. Has everybody had a chance to look at those words? Okay? Everybody's got a chance to look at those words? If someone was to ask me what was the most important thing in the world to me or to a billionaire, I would share with them that it's money. Now, everyone's going to look at me and say, oh, Bob, that's sad, Bob. I mean, you know, what about your wife? I mean, she's right over here. Where'd she go? She's here somewhere. Okay, she's back in the back. What about Karen? 32 years. Isn't she the most important thing? What about your dog, Layla, the little boxer, 5 years old, who sleeps in your bed with you every night and loves you? I said, well, I love Layla, you know. What about your plane, Little Sunshine? You fly around. I was in St. Simon's Island, Georgia yesterday eating wild Georgia shrimp. I flew up there. Beautiful day. Don't you love your plane? Yes, I do. But what do I love the most? Money. Now, why would I love money more than anything else that I've mentioned? Simple answer. Because if you don't have money, you cannot take care of the things you love. You cannot take care of the things you love if you do not have money. You cannot have freedom if you do not have money. The people with the most money are the most free, Ed. Have the greatest number of options, Beverly. They have the greatest number of options. I don't know about you, and somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but I've never been in a situation where having money makes things worse. Anybody been in that situation where you go, you know, here I am, my kids need to go to college, I need to figure something out, I got $4 million here, and I can't decide which college to send them to because I've got $4 million in my pocket, and somehow that makes things worse. Did that ever happen to anybody? Never happened to me. You know, did you ever be in a situation where having money made things worse? I never have. So, money makes things better. Money helps you protect the things you love and care about. Money creates freedoms and options. Freedoms and options. If you have money, you can go anywhere you want. You can be a member of any club in the world. Buy any car you want, buy any plane you want, buy any yacht you want, buy any color suit you want, go to any ETR conference you want, which is a good idea. I mean, you know, because it creates freedoms and options. That's why money is so important. So that's why I have these words up here. Money and freedom. And other than at the very end when we talk a little bit about some of our products and services we have, that's going to stay here all day. And that's my PowerPoint presentation. And I want you, if you leave here with nothing else, leave here with understanding the value of money and freedom. Now, you may ask yourself, how much does a billionaire love money? How much do you have to love money to make $1 billion? How much does it have to mean to you? How much does it have to mean to you? I want each and every person here to think of the person they love, the place they love, the thing they love. And I'm going to pause for just 30 seconds. And I want you to get that person, place, or thing firmly in your mind before I answer the question. Everybody got that person, place, or thing in mind that you love more than anything in the world? I want you to take that feeling for that person, place, or thing and times it by 10. And that's how much a billionaire loves every dollar. A dollar is important to them. Every dollar is like a lost child. Every dollar is like a lost child. They have such a high priority on where they place that because it's not just the money, it's what the money creates for them. Freedom, options, protection for their family or their extended family and their friends or the charities they donate their money to. That's why it matters so much. And the reason I'm emphasizing this is because you have to understand if you want to work with people that have a lot of money, you have to have that same feeling about it. I've gone to meetings, David. I'm sitting there with the billionaire, big conference table, big office, 10, 12 people, doing budgets or talking about starting a new project. Someone's got a pro forma there. And they go, someone says around the table, not me, someone says, well, you know, it's only $10,000. My God, only $10,000? 10,000 of my children gone? 10,000 of my children gone? 10,000 of the things I love most in the world gone? That's why when you're around people with money, you understand that you've got to speak about money in a reverential manner, as though it's like a spiritual thing. Like, you know, Mindy, we may need to spend $10,000. I've worked on this number. I've drilled it down. It was 18. Now we got it for 10, and we'll get back 15 if we spend 10. See, then you can talk about spending money, but you've got to speak of it like it's special, just like you would your child or Layla, the boxer, at my house. You know, you have to have that feeling about the money, because if you don't respect the money, they're not going to respect you, and they're not going to do business with you. Wouldn't everybody like to do business with a billionaire? They're smart. They've got access to money. They could help you. Wouldn't you like to do business with them? Well, rule one, learn to love money and respect how they feel about it, because it's like anything else in life. You have a friend, Michael, you have friends. You have something in common with your friends, don't you? If you want to have billionaire friends, you got to respect money. That is so key. And people think, Bob, you have to be exaggerating this. Guys, 35 years, 4 billionaires, worked. Karen's back here, she'll tell you. I think one time I worked 8 years without not like a day off, took a half day off on Sundays. I would go 7, 8 years, never take a vacation, never. All I did was work. Because if you weren't working, making money, they felt like, oh my God, Bob, you don't care about our business. You don't care about making money. We want you to care about making money, because that's what they care about. Now, if you're going to make money, let's go back to our friend. Remember our friend sitting on the corner? I'll work for food. Remember him? What do you think the odds of him ever getting rich are? I mean, 0? Slim. Very slim. And not only because he doesn't want to work, and not only because he's begging for money, and not only because he's probably an alcoholic. It is because he's all by himself. He's always by the corner. You never see 2 of them, do you? You never see 2 of them standing on the same corner saying, I'll work for money? Because he's working alone. Now, that's symbolic. Because if you work alone, if you don't ask people for their ideas and their help, you're never going to get rich. It doesn't happen. It cannot happen. You have to have partners. You have to have people who want to work for you, who believe in you and your dream. Now, how do you get people to work for you and believe in your dream? And I mean really believe in it, Mindy. I mean care about it as much as you do. First of all, you have to have charisma. Anybody got a definition of charisma? We'll start over here. My friend's been looking at me, and he's in a black suit, and that's my favorite color. How you doing? Edward, nice to see you. Bob Cox, thanks for coming. Eugene? Bob Cox, thanks for coming. How are you?
Thank you.
Now, what do you think the definition of charisma is?
Attractiveness.
What?
Attractiveness.
Attractiveness.
Magnetism.
Very good, very good. We're back to our hot and cold. You're like my friend over here. You're very warm. We'll ask our friend Michael. Charisma. What do you think a good definition is?
I don't know.
Okay, well, that's fine. I do, and I'm going to share it with you in a minute. We'll give David a chance. David?
The ability ability to bring someone with you.
Wow, I like that. Very good. Very warm. Now, as luck would have it, because I'm kind of like a lawyer, I only ask questions I only know the answer to. Plus, they're my answers, so, I mean, it's real easy for me, you know? This is easy for me. Charisma. It is the ability to make other people feel good about themselves. It is the ability to make other people feel good about themselves, Alan, so that they like you. You want them to like you, because if they like you, they'll work hard for you, and they'll share your mission. Now, you have to share some of the money with them, and that's okay. But before you can have the money, you're going to need other people to help you, not only in terms of the work that they would do, but in terms of the ideas they can bring to you, because you want other people's ideas. One of the common qualities of the billionaires is they know they're not the smartest person in the world. They know they need other people's ideas. And so they're always looking for other people's ideas. They could be at a restaurant, at a bar, at a sporting event, at work, at a meeting. What's your idea? What do you think, Phyllis? They'll say, Phyllis, what do you think about that? And Phyllis may have a good idea or a bad idea, but she's got an idea. And you can't think of everything by yourself. And if you're going to have other people to assist you, they have to like you. You have to decide to become very likable, Beverly, to everybody, because you never know who's going to be a wonderful person that may be very smart or may loan you money, because we want people to loan us money because we're going to need money, whether it's a banker or a private investor. It's important that people feel that you are a wonderful and caring person regarding them. You know, they may have heard rumors that you fired 500 people. But if you're nice to them, if I'm nice to Barbara, Barbara's going to say, Bob's a great guy. I love Bob. I've been with Bob for 7 years. He always pays me. He's always a great guy. I need Barbara to feel good about me. So she's going to work hard for me to help me make more money. They need to feel that you care about them. Now, let's talk a little bit about ideas, because I brought that word up. And I'm going to walk over here, if I can scoot between the rows so I can say hello to everybody. We'll try to get to all parts of the room today. My friend Cheryl, hi Cheryl, Bob Cox, thanks for joining us. Stephen, Bob Cox, nice to see you. So my friends Cheryl and Stephen here each of them have part of an idea. Now, Stephen's very happy. Stephen has 90% of the idea. He's thinking, wow, terrific. I got 90% of the idea. I'm close to bringing this to the market and selling it and making tens of millions of dollars. Billions. He's very happy. And he's got 90% of the idea. Now, my friend Cheryl over here has 10% of the idea. And Cheryl's thinking, wow, I'm kind of a long way from this. I don't have what I need here. But she meets her friend Stephen and says, hey, Stephen, I can complete that circle. I got that other 10% you need. And he says, great, we'll form a joint partnership. And he says, Cheryl, I will give you 10% of the profits. And Cheryl says, because she's been to the Billionaire News seminar, goes, whoa, stop, Steve. Hold it right there. Your 90% is worth nothing. My 10% is worth nothing. If we are a joint venture, I get half. 50% is mine, because it has no value in the marketplace until the circle is complete and we have everything we need to bring the product and services to our fellow countrymen. So now Stephen has agreed, haven't you, Stephen, to share the profits, because 50% of something is a lot better than 90% of nothing. Now always remember that when you have an idea, don't let someone say to you, well, gosh, you only have 10% of the idea. Say, yeah, but that's the 10% you need, and I want half the profits. Never be bashful to ask for money, because people will respect that. Now, they'll complain a little bit, but that's okay, as long as you get the money. Well, that's okay if they complain a little bit. Hi, Bob Cox, Stephen.
Hi, Steve.
And I have over Deborah. Nice to see you. So, the next question is, how important is integrity? How important is integrity? How important do you think it is, Stephen?
Very important.
And my friend, Matthew, how important do you think it is? You know what? It's the most important thing in all of business. You know, because I have people who I meet throughout my career, and a lot of people know that I was one of the founders of Home Shopping Network, or that I worked with Rosen or Fontaine or all these people and done all these things. And they'll say, Bob, you know these guys personally. You know their kids. You go to dinner with them. You go to parties. You travel around the world with them. Aren't these guys like kind of dishonest and not good people? And are they just lucky? Aren't they always trying to like take money from other people? No, because you can't make $1 billion and keep $1 billion if you don't have integrity. Now, have we all seen enough stories in the last 3 years about the guys? You read about them in the paper all the time. Here's their yacht, here's their house, here's their 12 Ferraris, and of course they're all in custody of the U.S. Marshal. Oh, isn't that nice? There's Bill's stuff, and then there's the U.S. Marshal. He's got all their stuff. I wonder where Bill is. Oh, I know where Bill is. Bill's in jail, okay? Because Bill's a dishonest guy. And one of the things I learned in 35 years of business is you can actually cheat your way to about $350 million before you get caught. But what value does it have? 8 years later, you've worked hard because you've been working hard and cheating people. Now you got $350 million, and then you wake up one day, and there's the U.S. Marshal with your yachts, and your house, and your Ferrari, and your plane, and you go, wow, that's not very good. Plus, you're sitting in jail, okay? And I hear the nights are lonely there, and the food service is like really bad. And I'm thinking, lonely nights, bad food service, why would I want to be there? Why not just have integrity and just continue on that way? It is so important to have integrity in business, and it's hard. It's hard because sometimes you think, wow, if I could just do this or do that, or someone will suggest something, and don't. You have to have a baseline of integrity, Stephen. And you have to maintain that throughout your career, or you will not maintain your money. Okay? You will not maintain your money. Now, let's have another conversation. I'm going to swing around here a little more and say hello to my friend Jerry. Hey, Jerry. Bob Cox, thanks for joining us at Early to Rise. I appreciate you being here. Jerry, if you had the opportunity to make all the money you wanted, what do you think, and then you made all the money you wanted, what do you think would be the number one problem you would have after you had all this money? What do you think would be your number one problem? There's the answer right there. It matches up right with my notes. Her answer was, try and keep it. Okay, because once you have your money, once everyone says, gosh, I have $500 million. I have $1 billion. Now, we got the IRS, got to pay them. We've got our employees, God bless them. They're like children. They all want new things. They want new computers. They want a new desk. Sometimes they want you to build a whole new office for them. Whatever, because they're like children. They all want new stuff. Now, if you buy all your children, employees, new stuff every time they want it, you won't have any profits and you won't have any money. So what happens is, Leslie comes up to me and he says, Bob, he said, I need a new computer. And I go, gosh, Les, I said, is your computer broken? He said, well, no, Bob, not actually. Windows has a new software design, super duper system out, and so I want that. I said, well, Les, we'll put that in the budget for next year, because we can't just buy him a new one because version 8 came out, you know what I mean? Because then Teresa, who's sitting right next to him, is going to want version 8 too, and then there goes the whole budget. Then we have no profits, we have no money, and then we're not rich anymore. Now, the other challenge is, of course, is we have people from charitable foundations who call us every day. If you went into a billionaire's office, and this is a true story, and you looked at their mail, and let's say their mail was this high, how much of that do you think is from charities who want them to give them money? 60%. Very close. 70 maybe. I mean, it's unbelievable because their names are in the paper and in Forbes magazine, and everybody wants them to send them money. You open up a letter and it says, dear Mr. Cox, there are birds dying in Africa. And I'm thinking, wow, God, how much do you, I'm thinking, wow, that's not very close to here. Doesn't sound like an immediate concern. But then I read on because I'm thinking, well, let's just see how much they want. Maybe it's a reasonable amount. But we would appreciate it if you could give us $10 million. And I'm thinking, wow, let me think about that. No. I mean, 10 million seems like a lot, for the birds that are dying in Africa. And so once you earn the money, I want everyone to keep the money. Now, that doesn't mean you can't give money to charity, but we're not going to give $10 million at a shot. Someone wants to build a soccer field and put my name on it, I'm okay with that. You can have $50,000 for that, but you can't have $10 million for the birds in Africa, because I don't ever go to Africa. I don't ever go there. I just don't. So it's we have when we're talking about integrity, I'm gonna find way in the back. I'm gonna go all the way to the back in the right-hand corner, all the way down here to see my friend who's all the way down here, past my friend Derek and past my friend Miguel. Hi, Miguel. Bob Cox, and it's Marie. Okay. Now we're gonna give you an example of why integrity is so important. So I want everyone to kind of follow this, and it's just a simple example, but it's really true. My friend has asked me for change for a $20 bill. So she gives me this 20. I give her back a 10 and a 5. And then I put my money clip away and say, thanks, I appreciate that. And she goes, wait a minute, where's my other $5? Well, she just was shorted $5. Now, do you think she is ever going to ask me for change again? Ever? No, because she was shortchanged $5. And you feel badly about that, don't you? Yeah, she does. She does feel badly. And so, and it's just a simple example, but integrity is so important because you can only sell your integrity one time. Once you do not keep your word, written or verbally, then you no longer have integrity with that individual or institution ever again. It's gone. It's something you can only sell once. And the billionaire knows that because they want to stay in business. Because remember, the goal is not just to make the money. The goal is to keep the money. Correct? We want to keep the money. It's of no value after 7 years to lose it all, and you're standing there looking at all your possessions while the U.S. Marshals are taking pictures of your yacht and your $5 million beach mansion while you're in prison. Only sell your integrity once. If you give your word to anyone, Edmund, I want you to keep it. Okay? Promise? Absolutely. Good man. I like that. Right, Timothy? Right. Derek, we give our word, we're going to keep it. True, Dorothy? Absolutely. Terry? It's like selling your soul. That's right, you bet. James, you give your word, I want you to keep it. And it's hard sometimes, because you know what? I've given my word lots of times. And sometimes when I've given my word, I maybe not have fully understood, Mindy, what I was promising because I just didn't. I should have, but I didn't. And I realized, you know what? It's going to cost me money, more than this whole thing is worth, to keep my word. Keep your word. It's going to take me more time than I had allocated to keep my word. Keep your word, David. Because once your integrity's gone, the hope of you becoming wealthy and maintaining relationships evaporates. There is no chance. There is absolutely no chance. So, everybody knows that we have to do the right thing and keep our word. Because otherwise there's no hope of having a lot of money or keeping it. Now, let's talk about time. There's a direct relationship between time and money. You know why wealthy, successful people always want everything done right away? Like, let's do it now. Let's get that done, Mindy. I want that done, Mindy. Let's get that done by 2 o'clock. I can have that for you by Tuesday, Bob. Catherine, can you get it to me by Monday? You notice if you ask successful people, Daniel, they always want you to do things faster, don't they, Alan? Yes, sir. They always want people to do things fast. Now, you know why? Good morning. How are you? Thank you. Nice to see you. You know why that's so important to them? Because time and money are directly related. Time and money are directly related. So if you understand time and the value it has to wealthy, successful people, you will then know how important the money is to them, and they'll want to work with you because that builds trust. That builds trust. So, if we're going to do things in a timely manner for people, we have to know what time it is. I can look at my watch and tell you it's about 11:21, and I'm supposed to speak till 12:30. And I will stop at 12:30 because I promised I would. You all got places to go and things to do. Now, if anyone cares to stay and chat with me longer, I will stay here and chat with you. But I know that I'm scheduled to stop speaking at 12:30. So I know what time it is. I know I need to stop. Now, the question is, if we're going to value time and understand time, we first have to know how much time it takes us to do everything. For example, how many times has anyone been speaking to somebody on the phone about a project, Mindy, and I'll use you because you're a nice person and right here, and they say, Mindy, I'm going to call you back in 15 minutes. Has anyone ever called you back in 15 minutes?
Occasionally, yes.
They never call me back. It's like 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 days later, you know. Because, or anyone ever say to somebody, how far is it to the XYZ building? They go, oh, it's only a couple miles down there. And it's like 7 miles away, you know, because they don't understand time and distance. And people just don't because they don't value it. But when you work with successful people, they live with a clock in their heads. And it's always going. All right, it's 11:27, it's 11:28. I got an hour and 4 minutes. I got an hour and 2 minutes. I got an hour and 6 minutes. I got 52 minutes. I got 47 minutes. That clock never leaves because time and money are directly related. For example, you know why people drive fast in the morning during rush hour?
Try to save time?
Well, because they're late. They're late. They're unorganized. They're in a hurry because they haven't allocated enough time to go to work. Now let's think about this for a minute, if we may, Ed. You go to work at the same place 25 years. Drive down the same road. Go to the same building. How much of a mystery can it be how long it takes to get there? I mean, this is not like rocket science. Because you know that it's going to be busier on Mondays, it's going to be busier on Friday afternoons. You know how long it takes you to go to work. But these people don't allocate enough time to get up and get dressed in the morning. For example, Mindy, who's becoming my new best friend. Mindy, how long does it take you to take a shower, brush your teeth, put on your clothes, and get ready to go to work?
I always think it takes a half hour.
How long does it take, though?
Longer.
Longer. Okay. See, I mean, and this is true of 95% of the people in the world. 95% of the people in the world. In my particular case, because I am so motivated by time, it takes me 22 minutes. It takes me 22 minutes to get ready.
What's your secret?
What's my secret? I don't have as much hair as you. So I spent all that time combing my hair. So I saved like all kinds of time. But you need to, if you don't know how long it takes you, and people laugh when I say this, you don't know how long it takes you to brush your teeth, how are you going to become rich? How are you going to become rich if you don't even know how long it takes you to brush your teeth? Because everything starts with time. And everything you promise people involves time. And if you cannot live up to your word on time, if you're someone that comes in and they say, I'll say, gosh, Catherine, I said, how's that project going? How's it going? Are we going to have it? Going to have it Tuesday like we promised, talked about? Sure. And then when Tuesday comes, Catherine says, oh, gosh, Bob, you never will believe what happened. And the answer is, no, I won't, Catherine, because you promised me Tuesday it was going to be here. You know, so it's a real concern. Now we're talking about people. And remember, we can't become wealthy all by ourselves. We all agree with that, right? Got to have people, friends, other people's ideas, and we have to have employees. Because, I mean, at Home Shopping, we started with about 42 employees. Last time I checked with them, I think they had 7,800. I mean, an amazing number of employees. And so you got all these employees, and you need employees. You have to have them because you can't become wealthy by yourself. Now, I have to pick out someone I haven't spoken to yet. So I am going to go all the way to the back. I love people that sit in the back because they think Bob will never come talk to me. But I'll tell you what, I go talk to people in the back. Yeah, you've been expecting me? Well, here I am. Your prayers have been answered. Yeah. Nice to see you, Andrew. See, I like Andrew. Andrew and I have worked together now for 7 years. And he's been a good worker, been a great worker, made me a lot of money, hard worker. But you know, now it's the 8th year. Now it's the 8th year. And you know what? Andrew's not working very hard. And he's not doing a very good job. And so I have to say to myself, you know, I hired Andrew on merit. He had a great resume, said he was going to work hard. He's come in and worked hard for 7 years. We've kind of become friends. It's very important. But now it's the 8th year, and he's not working hard. So here comes the hard part. I come up to Andrew, and I say, Andrew, I said, we've been together 7 years, you know, and you've done a great job the previous 7 years. You're not doing a good job this year. And so, Andrew, even though I was up all night thinking about this, and it makes my heart cry, you're fired. And then as Andrew starts to say, but Bob, I go, security, come help Andrew out, okay? Within 5 minutes, his desk, his mementos, picture of his lovely friend Brenda, all gone, because he was hired on merit, and now he is being fired on merit, because he has become a non-producing asset. He's a non-producing asset. And so I had to fire him. As much as I liked him and all the good times we had together, I'm sorry about that, Andrew.
That's all right. I'll just go sell real estate online.
There you go. He's going to sell real estate online. But, you know, and this is very hard to do because you have a relationship with people that work for you. But, you know, you cannot keep people around that aren't making you money because he is a non-producing asset. So I had to fire him as much as I liked him. He had to go because I had a greater obligation to all of his coworkers, to my shareholders of my company, to deliver a profit. And each and every person that's not producing money has to be removed. Now, that doesn't mean that, I mean, you know, like I said, we did a little research on Andrew and looked at his work and his numbers, and they just weren't there. So he had to go. And we don't accept second chances once we've made the decision. If you're a billionaire, if you're successful, if you run a business, when I decide, and you and I have a meeting, and we decided Andrew had to go, didn't we? Because we knew it was best for the business. See, Andrew thinks I just fired him. My friend up here also fired him. Because I didn't make this decision all by myself. I had my friends help me. So that when he comes back with his AK-47, I go, hey, wait a minute, it wasn't just me. That's my buddy right here. Boy, this is the guy, and I kind of use him as a shield. But just kidding. You know, so you got to have other people help you. And I appreciate you taking that bullet for me. I really do. So we, you know, and it's just like when you're hiring people, you have to decide who are the thinkers and who are the doers. Who are people who are creative and think a lot. I'll go back to Les over here. Les, what type of business are you in?
Real estate?
Real estate. And you know some people who are very creative and have great ideas.
Yes.
And you also know people who work in the office and can do administrative work.
Yes.
So you know people who are thinkers and doers. Now, it seems pretty simple, but putting the right people in the right places is critical to being successful in a business. Critical. Right people, right places. Now, you know that, don't you?
Yes.
Now, the challenge is to find them, put them in the right place, and then when you've got your doers doing things and your thinkers thinking, some of the doers go, you know what, I'd like to have a thinker's job. You know, because it seems like a good job. You know what I mean? It seems like a great job to be a thinker, because here I am handling all this paperwork, and this guy's out going to luncheons and parties and conventions and networking. Yeah, I want to do that. Gail wants to do this. You want to go party with the thinkers. I understand. Now, but when someone comes to you, you know, you have to decide, do I really want to give this person a chance? You know, and I've done that. I've given people the opportunity. When they've said, you know, Bob, I really think I can move up to this position. I can be a thinker. I can be a creative force in the company. But you know what? Most of the time it didn't work out. It didn't work out because certain people have certain talents. And chances are it's not going to work. So you have to be careful with that. You know, the other thing is, and we talked about this, I talk about this in my DVD, The Billionaire and You, a lot. If you're going to start a business, have a successful business, and if you're thinking about hiring your friends and family, let me tell you the guy who's done it, okay? More than once. more than twice, more than 3 times. Big family. It doesn't work. And it almost never works. Because when you hire a friend at some point, because remember, your business needs profits and productivity like a human being needs air and blood. Okay? Profits and productivity is what a business needs. Because it's an artificial person. A corporation or an LLC is an artificial person. Real people need blood and air. Real companies need profits and productivity. And if someone is your friend, at some point, or your relative, they're going to come to you and they're going to say, I happen to meet so many times I came to you, say, hey Bob, you know, I got this thing I'm doing tonight. Thing. They never tell you what it is. This thing. I don't know if they're going to rob a bank or go to a movie. You know, it's like, I got this thing I'm going to do, Bob. I'm thinking, oh, okay. Like it's top secret or real important. I say, Bob, so I'm going to be kind of out late tonight. And I'm thinking, well, maybe it is a bank robbery. And I'm thinking, do I really want to employ a bank robber? But they say, Bob, you know, we're buddies. We went to college together. Bob, how about if I could have tomorrow off because I'm going to be out late doing this thing. Okay? Yeah, but if they don't come to work that day, then someone else has to do their work, don't they? And they're asking you to put their friendship ahead of the profits and productivity of the business, Wanda. And that's wrong. And that's why, if you can avoid it, do not employ your friends or family. Not a good thing. And it never will be. And it never has been. Today, yesterday, or tomorrow. So, you're going to have a business, and it's fine to develop friends. It's fine to develop friends as you work with them. That's okay. But I mean, when I say friends, let me define. This is somebody that you went to college with. This is somebody that you're on their bowling team, their softball team. You go to their kids' soccer games. You go to lunch at their house before you ever employ them. Now, once you employ them and everybody's on this separate level, same page, then you can become friends with people. But if you bring in a friend, they feel they have a proprietary relationship, and therefore they get special treatment because some nights they have to go do this thing, okay, whatever it is. But they never told me. But they're not going to be in the next day, so I'm thinking, wow, wonder what that is. Yes, ma'am.
I ran into a situation where I was on the board of directors of this friendship, and this woman was chair of, or was the head one over the, with the other women that were doing the cleaning and everything else. She had a situation where her baby was diagnosed with cancer and had a very short time to live. The manager wanted to fire her because she wouldn't be there, and I said no, because when she comes back, and I said the others that work with her will pick up what she did, and he did that, and he said he was very glad that he did that.
Well, in that particular situation, when you're talking about a child that is ill, and you're talking about the fact that her coworkers are willing to rally around her and make up for the work she's not doing for a limited period of time, then yeah, that's different. You know, that's not the same as the guy saying, Bob, I got this thing I'm doing, you know, because they never tell you what it is. See, she told us what it was. She's not out robbing banks. But no, that's fine. So the important thing is that when you're working with people, people have to feel that you're happy to have them in your work environment. If you see really successful people, they'll walk around and they'll introduce themselves to their staff. They always know who the employees are. Like I would know Mindy. You know, Mindy works at the front desk in my hotel, and she's been there for 5 years. I say, hey, Mindy, how you doing? How's the kids? How's the dog? Any luck in getting the new car? You know, you stay involved. They go, wow, Bob's a great guy. You want to do that. You want to have people know that you care about them while they're working for you. And you always want to walk on the sunny side of the street. For example, can everyone tell that I'm happy to be here today? I am happy to be here today. This means a great deal to me, to be here today, because I wanted to be here with you all today and talk about the billionaire mindset. Now, if you're going to choose something to do in life, whatever it is, Beverly, Let's start the list with things we like to do, okay? Let's not start off with saying, well, you know what? I know a guy who started this type of company, worked himself half to death, but made $12 million in 3 years, so I'm going to do that. Well, no, let's not do that. Because you're going to be miserable. If you're going to work just for the money, don't do it. As much as I think you should love money and respect money and how valuable money is, if you're going to have success in life, choose something that you have some interest or passion for, Phyllis. Some interest or passion for. Because when it's successful, you're going to have to work hard anyway to hire the employees and distribute the product and all the services. So yeah, but at least start off liking what you're doing. There's enough people in the world who have jobs they don't like. Anybody ever had a job they don't like? You're looking at one of them. You know, I've been there. So I'm not going to start a business that I don't like. Why would I do that? You know, I mean, next thing you know, I'll be asking for time off to go do that thing at night, whatever that is, you know. And I've still never figured that out. Yes, ma'am.
Talking about passion, I started a business 6 years ago on passion.
Okay.
I was so passionate about
Okay.
it. And I started it from day one. It's 6 years old. It's been successful every day, and I just sold it in a downturn at a really good price. But I was passionate about it, even though I was surrounded with unbelievable competition.
Isn't that something?
It's the passion.
That's a great story. I mean, this Phyllis has experienced and lived the very thing that I'm talking about here. You know, like for example, the home shopping channels became Home Shopping Network. It was cool having your own studio and television studio. And I was on TV for 5 years every day. You know, I couldn't even go to the gas station. And people would stop me and say, hey, you're the guy on TV. Go to the gym, oh, you're the guy on TV. I had people bring me, and Karen will remember, you could go into my office at Home Shopping Channels or Network, and I had cakes everywhere, pies, I mean, shirts.
I know I tried to sell you.
Thank you. But people would see, when people see you on TV every day and you're in their living room, they get to where like they think they know you. And people would just come by the studio and bring me cakes and pies and shirts. It was amazing. You know, it's really kind of cool. And so I'm thinking, you know, that's a pretty cool job. You know, I like owning this business, you know. And so do something you enjoy. Do something that matters to you, you know. And if you're going to have a business, it's very important to always stay in touch with your employees, isn't it, Phyllis? Make sure people know you care about them. But how do you do this? Sounds easy to say, doesn't it? And may I have your name, please?
Sarah.
Sarah. Bob Cox. Nice to have you here. Wade. Bob Cox. Nice to have you here. And then come over here and say hello to my other way down the line. John. Bob Cox.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. So, here we are, and we have all these employees. But what happens is, you know, Home Shopping had like 40, 50 employees to start with, and then we had 300, I mean, this thing grew, it was like a bomb blowing up, you know. And we had 100 and 500 and 1,000 and 2,000 and 3,000. It was amazing. Every time I walk in the door, there's more people, you know. Now, how do we manage all these people? It's hard. Someone, you, the future billionaire, has to develop a way so that people feel like that you're involved in their life every moment of every hour of every day. They have to clearly know your mission. The mission is to provide better products and services at better prices for your consumers. That's the mission. Now, how do we make sure that Daniel is always doing this? Well, we try to get either myself or some of the other managers to call Daniel once a day and say, hey, Daniel, you know, how's it going? What's going on? You know, how's things in your department? How's everything going? What's happening? And we have to make sure Daniel knows certain things that are important to us. You know, Daniel, we got these budget projections. Did you get yours in the email where it said how much?
Yeah, I did. We're going to blow it out.
You're going to blow it out. That's my kind of guy. I like Daniel. I said, Daniel, I want you, every time you write a letter, every time you make a phone call, every time you talk to one of your coworkers, I want you to pretend in your mind that I am standing right next to you, listening to every word, counting on you to perform to the highest standard you and I know you can perform to. Every time you speak, act, on behalf of this company, I want you to think about our mission and the fact that if I was standing right there, how would you treat that person? How hard would you work if I was sitting right next to you at your desk? I want you to work like that every day for me. Okay? I do not want you ever to limit your time or your talents to help us become successful, Daniel. Because there's money in this for you. You're going to get another promotion, a bigger raise, and life's going to be better because if you have more money, you're going to have more freedom for you and your family. You okay with that? Every day, I want you to work hard. Now, the guys I worked for made me feel like this every day. I worked all the time. I worked all the time. Karen's back there, she'll tell you. I'd work 180 days, take a Sunday afternoon off, work another 180 days. Didn't go on vacation for 9 years. Seems like a long time not to go on vacation when you're working 7 days a week. 7 days a week. I mean, I want to tell you something, Mindy. If you went to Roy Spear, and I love Roy, but and this after like 10 years, I finally said, God, I'm thinking maybe I need a vacation, you know, because I got this thing I want to do. You know, I got this thing I want to do. But I learned, because I saw other people go into Roy's office, and Roy would say, well, on Tuesday, Mindy, we're going to be doing this and this, and Tuesday, and Mindy would say, well, Mr. Spear, on Tuesday, I'm going to be in Hawaii on vacation. And Roy his eyes would go dark. We go, vacation? Oh my God, you're going on vacation? We got this mission we're all on, you know? Remember the every dollar's a lost child, Mindy? Then finally Mindy goes, well, you know, I could maybe cancel that. I could rearrange it. So what I learned is with wealthy people who care a lot about money, when they say, all right, Bob, on Wednesday we'll do that. And I said, sir, I have a conflict on Wednesday. Can we do it the following Monday? Oh, okay. You got a conflict. And you got a date to reschedule? Everything's cool. You say, yeah, on Wednesday I'm going to be down at South Beach partying with my friends. No way. You've lost that bond, that trust. You're not a part of the team because you're not working to help every dollar and grow the company. You know, now they can go on vacation. That's different. That's different. Don't ask me why, but it's different. So remember, don't ever say vacation to successful, wealthy people. You have a conflict, but you are available the following Tuesday, aren't you, Mindy? Okay, there you go. And it's something that's just weird about guys with money. You know, they just don't like to hear that. So every now and then, once you own your company, now you got a company. Les, you got your company all up and running. You got employees. And you want to tell everybody how wonderful your products and services are, don't you, Les? So you can learn from this because it's important. Because once you get your company and you got your products and services and you're selling everything, people are going to come to interview you because you want to market and publicize your company. And they're eventually going to come to you from the newspapers or the television studios. And they're going to say, Bob, you know, tell us a little bit about your products and services. And they all say the same thing. Every wealthy guy who's interviewed says the same thing, and you'll recognize this. He'll go, well, Mindy, thank you for asking. This particular product and service is good for the entire galaxy. Not the country, not the world, the entire galaxy, Mindy. Now, there's some other benefits, Mindy, besides being good for the entire galaxy. It's especially good for children and puppies. All the children and puppies and the galaxy is going to benefit if you buy my products or services. And so you go, wow, the children, the puppies, the galaxy, everything's a better place. We got to buy that. Now, who's going to really benefit? The answer is me, because I'm making the products and services. But every time they come to interview you, I want you to look right in the camera, sir, and say, yes, Bob, that's true. This product or service is good for the entire galaxy. And it's going to benefit all the children and the puppies. Now you've covered everybody. Who wouldn't want to buy your product or service? And there's some version of that, you know, because it's always better, quicker, faster, less, more convenient, more of it, you know, but at the end, that's what they're selling. And so you have to learn how to look right into people's eyes and say, this is good for the entire galaxy. They go, wow, we got to buy this. What a great guy, you know. But who it really benefits is me and my employees and my shareholders. But if you think about it, at the end of the day, this is what they all say. And this is what you need to say because it works. People like to buy things that are going to help everybody. You know, it's really a nice thing. Now, we're going to talk about when we have our joint venture partners, our employees, anybody who's with us, and we need contracts. You're going to have a lot of money, you got to have contracts, don't you? You got to have a contract. It's got to be understood what you're buying, what you're selling, what the price and terms and conditions are. And you're all sitting around with these people, and they say, well, we got to do this, we got to do this. They say, well, you know, we're going to need a contract. So right then, I want you to literally jump out of your seat, raise your hand, and say, I will get my guys to write the contract. I want to get my guys to write the contract. You always want your guys to write the contract, because then you can write a unilateral contract. Because there's two types of contracts. There's bilateral contracts and there's unilateral contracts. Bilateral contracts benefit both parties equally 50%. Unilateral contracts, in some way or another, benefit you more than the other party. Whoever writes the contract gets to put in the language and the terms and conditions. The other person's got to figure out which ones to take out. You know? And so you always want to raise your hand. Yeah, my guys will write the contract. No, I don't mind the lawyer's fees. That's fine. We'll pay them. You know, my company will write that. And so then you can put in things that favor you. Now, they get the right to have their attorney come and look at it. And they'll say, hey, you know, I was thinking, Mindy, this part here about where Bob gets 94% of the profits, maybe we could work on that. I said, oh, gosh, I didn't realize that. Sure, 92%, whatever y'all need, you know. I mean, whatever's fair, you know. I mean, you have to have integrity, but if you're in business, Beverly, you want to do what's right for you and your shareholders and your employees. And you know why? Because it's good for the galaxy, the children, and the puppies. That's why we're on this mission, to help everybody. So it's fine to have acts of omission. You can maintain your integrity with acts of omission. An act of omission is like, oh my gosh, you need more than 8% of the profits? You want like 40%? Okay, I'm sorry, we must have missed that. I got to talk to my guys and see what they did there, okay? Now, an act of commission is a lie. You tell someone something and it's not true. We don't do acts of commission. We do acts of omission, because if we have proprietary information that benefits our company, our products, our services, we keep it to ourselves, Mindy. We keep it to ourselves so that we can make our company grow and have more money and freedom, because that's what we talk about. You know, it's something when you talk about vision, and I'll come back here and say hello to my friend Bruno. Hey, Bruno, how are you?
Fine.
See, you didn't think I was going to come back here. Nice to see you. Thank you for joining us this morning and this weekend at Early to Rise. Bruno, how important do you think vision is?
That's the most important thing.
It really is one of the most important things. Because if you're going to get money from people, and you're going to ask people for money or invest in your company, they have to have some sort of plan of where you're going. What are you going to do with the money? You know, for example, is it hard to get money from people?
Sure.
It is. But if you ask enough people for their money, someone's going to give you some. It's really true. I started out my career when I first came out of college as a cold call insurance salesman. Not many tougher jobs. Tough job. But I took this job because when I was in high school, before I went to college, I read an article. It's like 1966, okay? And it says, 67, it says, 80% of the people who make more than $25,000 a year are in sales. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm dirt poor. My parents have no money. No one has any money. I don't have any money to start a business. I've got to go into sales. So I said, well, I'll learn something about sales. And I said, everyone has to buy insurance, so I'll learn about insurance. So off I went, learned about insurance, finished up at the University of Tampa, go out and get all my insurance license to sell workers' comp, general liability, health insurance, life insurance, securities. I mean, I passed every exam you can imagine because I wanted to have as many things to sell people as I could. And so off I go. I got my licenses, and I'm a cold call salesman. I'm in the road. I got my little map, and I'm going up and down the street. So I decide, because I was a bowler. Started when I was 5 years old. Little guy, blonde hair, very cute. I was in there learning to bowl. And then I got bigger, not a lot bigger, but a little bigger, and I kept bowling, and I became a really very good bowler. Used to bowl in the Southern Regional Professional Tour. I was a Florida State champion, a lot of good stuff. And so I figured, even though I didn't know anything about insurance, I knew a lot about bowling lanes. So I would go sell insurance to bowling lanes all over the state. Made kind of sense. So off I go. I'm 6 weeks out of college or so, and I'm driving around, and I stop at this one bowling lane. It was called Shore Lanes in Clearwater, Florida, on US 19. And so I go in, and I give the man my card, and he goes, "Wow." He says, "We're looking for an insurance guy." And I said, "You're kidding." I said, "I just went 250 places and nobody wanted to talk to me. You need an insurance person? You're looking for an insurance person?" He said, "Yeah, come on in." I said, "This is great." So I get in there and they go, "Well, you know, we had a fire." I'm thinking, fire? That's probably not good. I'm thinking, fire? Oh, that's not good. I've only been out of college a few weeks, but I thought, that's not good. He said, and the insurance company fixed the fire. I mean, you know, burned down a third of the bowling lanes last year, and they fixed it. I was thinking, well, that's good. He said, but then they canceled our insurance. I said, well, now that's bad. I'm trying to put all this together because I just got out of school. And he said, and nobody else wants to offer us insurance on our bowling lanes because we just had a fire. And he said, can you help us? I said, oh, no problem. Absolutely. I just got out of school. There was no problem. You know, there was no problem. So I said, I'll take care of that. So off I go, you know, and I go back to the insurance companies and finally found somebody who actually wanted to write and place the coverage on this bowling lanes. And so as I go to a couple of these meetings with who I thought was the owner, a gentleman named Mitch Kladakis, I'll never forget him, wonderful man. There's another guy there, and he's a big guy, 6'2", 275, never says a word. 3 meetings. Never introduced himself, never said a word, just sat there. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, they're buying the insurance, they're writing checks. I'm a smart guy. If he's shy, I'll just let him be. You know, I just won't say anything to him. You know, so I don't say anything to him. Didn't know his name. Placed the insurance, big account for me, just out of school. You know, I'm thinking, wow, I can go out drinking. And, or maybe I got this thing that I want to go do. I'll never know what that is, and I'll never tell you. And so I'm thinking, wow, this is great. So the next day I'm at my office, phone rings. I answer the phone, I go, Bob Cox. And the guy says, hi, Bob, this is Roy Spear. And I said, hi, Roy. I said, how are you? And he said, I'm fine. And he said, Bob, he said, I'd like you to come up and look at all of my insurance. He says, I own a lot of companies up here, and I want you to look at all of my insurances. And I said, gosh, Roy, that's great. You know, I'll be up there. I said, Roy, I said, have we ever met? Because I didn't know who he was. I'm the big silent guy at the meeting, at the Shore Lanes meeting. I'm actually a partner there, and I'm a lawyer, and I'm an entrepreneur. And I'm thinking, wow, you know, that's terrific. You know, so I went up there to meet Roy Spear, and he actually spoke to me. It was kind of cool. I was thinking, wow, he's talking to me and everything. I think up here, if I'll just transition, this is a picture of Roy on one of his many magazine covers. This is Roy Spear, the great man, the financial genius, the guy that changed my life. Roy Merrill Spear. And Roy, I'll just put that there for a moment. So I went up to the meeting, and he said, Bob, he said, I really like the fact that you could place all the insurance, help us out, because the bank was all upset because they weren't having insurance, and they were going to foreclose the loan and all this kind of stuff. And he said, I'm going to let you write all my insurance. So I end up writing all of his insurance. And next thing you know, a couple years pass, and you know, I was poor. I mean, I was really poor. Karen's back here, she could tell you. I mean, I had a bird because I couldn't afford a dog. Because dogs eat too much. I had a bird. His name was Peppy. True story. Karen, true story? Karen on the waiver? Yeah. Yeah. Peppy was there because he bird seeds real cheap. You know, and I love dogs. I used to have dogs, boxers and English bulldogs, and I love dogs. But I couldn't afford a dog. I had a 300-foot apartment, and I had a little bird. It was just Peppy and I, you know, and that was it. It wasn't real exciting to my house. And so I land this big account from a cold call, And I end up writing all of these businesses he owns and his friends own. And everyone loves me. You know, go figure. You know, it was really kind of neat. And so now I've got a Porsche and diamonds and a Rolex and big new house on the beach. I got all this stuff. And I'm really, really happy. And that all happened because of a cold call to a guy that didn't even speak to me. And we went on to form the Home Shopping Channels, the Home Shopping Network, and it was a great story. But that story can happen to anyone here at any time. You can always decide to become successful or learn a new skill. I am often asked this question. Bob, you knew these guys. I mean, weren't they just brilliant? Weren't they just so smart and destined to be wealthy? No. No. They had common qualities. And I didn't see that till I met the second one, the third one, and the fourth one, and sat down in my room to write the DVD series, The Billionaire and You, about 4 years ago. Because I had to block everyone else out of my mind and focus on the common qualities of the guys that made $1 billion. Not the guy that I knew that made 10 million or 50 million or 100 million. And in my world, I've met a lot of guys like that. But $1 billion from scratch, very high standard. And these are the qualities that they had. And another question I'm often asked is, do billionaires ever make bad decisions? The answer is, of course. Otherwise, they'd be trillionaires. They would be trillionaires. You know, they would be trillionaires. Now, they're a little different. I mean, let's all think for a moment. If you're a billionaire, and you've been a billionaire for a few years now, you had 100 million and 200 million and 300 million, now you got $1 billion, and you surround yourself with certain types of people and everything, you become a certain type of person. How many times in the course of a day, a week, a year, do you think they hear these words? Well, you know, Chief, that's really a bad idea. How often do you think they hear that? Never. Who said never? Okay, never. Because they live in a very somewhat isolated world. And now everyone that works for them over a long period of time is going to say, gosh, those are great ideas. Now I'm going to give you an example, and I'm going to exaggerate it, but it'll make the point, just so you know. I go in to see the billionaire, and the billionaire says, Bob, got a problem. I said, Chief, that's why I'm here. I'm your guy. You know, I'll fix it. He says, well, Bob, he said, my mom. He says, you know, my mom is making me give money to my brothers and sisters. I said, wow, money to your brothers and sisters. That's not good. And said, my mom is telling me how to raise my children. I said, wow, telling you how to raise your children. And she's siding with my wife in arguments. I'm going, wow, boy, Chief, this is getting tough. And he says, my mother just doesn't understand. I said, sir, I never liked that woman. I never liked that woman, sir. He says, well, good. He said, well, Bob, here's the idea. He said, let me know if there's any flaws in it. He says, my mother goes to the same church every Sunday. 30 years, same church every Sunday. He said, she comes out next Sunday, we hire a hitman and shoot her. I said, wow, what a great idea. Shoot your mother on the church steps. I said, you know, sir, there's no wonder you're a genius. No wonder you're rich. That is a wonderful, terrific idea. And she deserves to be shot. She deserves to be shot. I said, but you know, sir, I said, let me just, there might be some legal ramifications I need to check into. I just need to kind of think, you know, kind of just research a couple things maybe over this afternoon. And we could talk about this in the morning, kind of see if it looks a little different in a new light. And it's true because, first of all, I had $1 million job with this guy. I'm not going to tell him no. You know, I'll wait a day and I'll finesse it the next day and say, you know, really, sir, I don't think that's the way to go. Because they had one great idea and it made them $1 billion, or they now think every idea they have is fabulous. Because everyone they talk to, Everyone comes in and says, David, my God, in black, you look good in black. Where did you get that shirt, David? My God, you look good. How have you been? How is that wonderful wife and those good-looking kids, David? My goodness, how nice to see you, sir. All day. This is what you hear for 15 years. You know, you kind of start thinking, wow, I'm a pretty good guy, you know, and all my ideas are great. And they'll come up with ideas like, okay, $40 million we're going to invest in this. And you're thinking, wow, I wouldn't put 10 cents in that, you know. I wouldn't do it. But you can't say no right away. So if you're ever around wealthy people, you got to kind of temper it. Eventually you're going to tell them the truth. But when they're all excited about the idea, you got to temper it. Because some people have a great way of presenting his or her projects. You ever been to a meeting and they got their PowerPoint and it's a really super guy, a really super lady, and they're up there, and you're thinking, you know, I love this person. I love those PowerPoints. But the idea is not very good. But you're so caught up in their passion for their project and their beautiful PowerPoint. And sometimes they even come in and build little cities and office parks and bring them into your office. No, they really do. And you go, oh my God, that's gorgeous. But the idea is terrible. So you have to understand that passion is not proof. No matter how passionate you are about your idea, your project, what you want to do, that is not proof of concept. That is not proof of concept. No matter how emotional you are about it, where, you know, tears of joy streaming down your face, telling everybody about the millions of dollars they're going to make, it doesn't make it true. Always look at what the end consumer wants to buy and what price the end consumer wants to pay for that product or service that you want to sell them. Tell you a story. Guy owns a dog food company. Nice dog food company. Starts it up. He's got $100 million. Starts a dog food company. Buys advertising on American Idol, Dancing with the Stars, Super Bowl, Masters program, baseball programs. Fabulous advertising his product, his dog food. Goes into the grocery stores with his sales staff of 250 people spread out across the country. Goes to Winn-Dixie, Publix, wherever it is, and they get the greatest amount of shelf space on the grocery store, which is important, isn't it, ladies? Because you've got to be able to see the product as you go down the aisle. They've got more shelf space than anybody. Great advertisement, fabulous salespeople with, you know, PDAs and cell phones and iPhones, and they got everything. However, they go to the annual sales meeting first year, sales just going down. Sales just keep going down. And he's got the vice president there of operations, the person in design, he's got all the salespeople there. President stands in front of the company and says, ladies, gentlemen, sales going down. What's going on? Comes up to Mindy. Say, Mindy, you're in charge of product design. You know why our dog food sales down? Mindy goes, I don't know. Goes over to the vice president. He doesn't know. And he says, well, he says, I know, because I'm president of the company. He said, you people are bad executives and bad salespeople. And there's a guy in the back waving his hand. And he says, Jim, I'm speaking. I'll get to you in a moment. And he says, if anybody here can tell me why dog food sales are down, and this guy's still back here waving his hand. He says, Jim, I'll get to you in a minute. He said, I want to know. He said, otherwise, we're changing everything. Guy in the back finally says, all right, Jim. He said, what is it you want to say? He said, sir, the dogs won't eat it. And that's the point. If the dogs won't eat it, it doesn't matter how much money you have for advertising, how many wonderful buildings you build, how much advertising you do, whatever you do. If your product or service does not have value in the marketplace to the consumer at that price point, you are not going to succeed, no matter how much money you have to invest. And one of the other things that happens when you're working with billionaires, people come in with great ideas, and sometimes very bad ideas, and you sit around these conference rooms and they have these amazing presentations, you know. They want to, you know, build a salt-free water plant somewhere out in the middle of the ocean or whatever. It's amazing the ideas people have. And it finally comes to my turn, and they say, Bob, what do you think? I go, the dogs won't eat it. They say, what does that mean? That's why I tell them the story. The end consumer, the price point is what matters. People have to need what you want to sell them, or you have to create a need that they feel and believe happens. You know, it's just like water. You put water in a bottle. Was that a great idea or what? Do I love that person? I mean, you know, I used to think yellow sticky notes were the best, but water in a bottle sold at 10,000 times the cost of water out of a faucet. And truth is, it also comes out of a faucet. They just put it in a bottle. I mean, it's fabulous. I mean, who should, I mean, if I'd have thought of that, I'd have been really thought I was a smart guy. I mean, I really, really would have. So when we're looking at these things and you're thinking about, you know, what to do with my money, what to do with my time, that's what you want to work on. You know, another challenge that happens if you're working with people on a regular basis is you have to understand that a lot of times, whether it's an employee or someone making a presentation, they may have some qualities about them that you like because they got some qualities like you. Like, for example, they may have gone to the same school you did, or they may love the same sports team, or they may have the same interest in their favorite movie, maybe the same as yours. And so because they have one or two of your qualities that you like, they all of a sudden, you start reflecting onto that person, Sarah, that they're just like you. They are just like you. You think, well, I like this person, and they're just like me because we have the same favorite movie or the same favorite sports team or whatever it may be. And so you award them a contract or do something for them that you wouldn't ordinarily have done. Always a mistake. Always stay objective about people and their presentations. You want to make sure that the numbers work and that people want this product or service. They have to want that product or service. As we're getting closer to the end of it, I think one of the things that I'd like to share with you is that if you think to yourself, and I started on this and then I kind of varied off a little bit, and that is, billionaires are not born. They learn success techniques to make them successful. And the 4 billionaires I worked with, they all learned these things over a period of 15 or 20 years. Long period of time. And yet, and I met them one after the other in almost 10-year increments, 7 to 10-year increments. And it was amazing to me when I sat down and thought about them and started to write about them, is that they had learned the same things at about the same age. But they did something that was so important. They took action on everything they learned. This entire program, the goals program, the Flip the Success Switch was a book I wrote, which I think Wade got a copy of it here, Sarah did. And everything I write, everything I talk about, is a call to action. You can attend all the conferences you want, go to all the universities you want. Won't make any difference if you don't take action on the things you learn. Very, very important. Because success is not encoded in your DNA. There wasn't, I wasn't there at the hospital when Roy and Bud and Harris and Dennis were there and born, but I'm sure they didn't have a little toe tag. It said, oh look, there's Roy. It says future billionaire. Didn't have that on his toe tag. It's not encoded in your DNA. How many successful people do you know? And they're the only successful person in the whole family. Their mother and father weren't successful. Their children aren't successful. Their brothers and sisters are not successful. If it was encoded in your DNA, everybody within that DNA profile would be successful, wouldn't they, Kevin? Wouldn't they? Tim, you agree with me? I mean, you know, I met all these people's families. And I want to tell you something. Probably not, you know, the sharpest crayons in the box. Probably not. Not the most ambitious, not the sharpest people you ever met. But that man himself, even though they weren't Mensa students, and I'm not saying these guys aren't smart, because they are, but they found a way to use certain techniques to manage their time and other people's time, and listen and hear and feel things that other people don't listen, hear, and feel all the time because they were focused on their work, that allowed them to constantly make the best decision. each and every day. It's not encoded in your DNA to be successful. You can learn to be successful at any point in life. I'll tell you a quick story, and this is a personal story. All my life, because I was busy working, I worked all the time. Karen, raise your hand. There, Karen will tell you, she was there all those years. And you know, I'd go to work at 7 in the morning, I'd come back at 10 at night, Monday through Saturday. On Sundays, I did quit around 2 o'clock. True story. I worked like that decade after decade. And there were things I wanted to do. And one of them was, I wanted to become a pilot. I wanted to fly an airplane. And you know, the decades are going by. Planes are still taking off, you know. I'm just hanging out. So, when I was 56 years old, which will be 4 years ago in July, because I'll be 60 in 3 months, I woke up, it was my birthday, and Karen said, "Oh, Bob, it's your birthday. What would you like to do today? Anything special?" I said, "Yeah, I'm going down to the airport and enroll in flight school and become a pilot and buy a plane." And she goes, she says, "Well, you never told me that." I said, "Well, Karen, I'm sharing it now." You know, I'm sharing it now. And she says, "Well, Bob, you know, you got lots of time to be a pilot." Said, "You know, you're middle-aged." And I said, "Karen, how many 112-year-old men you have lunch with lately?" I don't think 56 was middle-aged 4 years ago. I'm thinking downside of the mountains, what I'm thinking. I'm thinking this is, you know, bucket list time here. You know, we got to get this done. So I didn't know any pilots, and I didn't know how much it cost or what to do. I just knew I wanted to get in a plane and fly. I'd had a dream. True story. Again, this is the personal part of the conference. I'd had a dream for 20 years. I had it twice a year, and I had it for 20 years. Same dream. I would go to the airport. I would show someone like a license. They would point a plane out. I would hop in the plane. It's a clear blue sky. I would take off on the runway into a clear blue sky, and the dream would stop. I had that dream twice a year for 20 years because I was suppressing the fact that I wanted to go do this. So I finally said, heck with it, I'm going. So off I go. So I go enroll in flight school, give them all this money. Cost a lot of money. Takes a lot of time, you got to study. Everyone in my flight school is 21, 22, 19, 23, and I'm like this old guy. And they're thinking, you know, and you know how people are, they kind of make fun of you. But I'm okay with that, you know. And so, and I got their names, so I'll get back to them. I mean, I'm good with that, you know, because I'm okay. But, you know, I'm given a hard time. The flight instructors are all in their 20s, and everybody's giving me a hard time. And it's hard to learn to be a pilot. Lots to know. Anyway, get all that done. Get my pilot's license. And then I came home, and Karen said, "Well, this is great, Bob. You know, you've got your flight training done, now you got a plane, and now you've got your pilot's license." So I wake up the next day and say, "Hey, Karen, I'm going down to the airport." She said, "Oh, you're going to lease a plane?" I said, "No, I'm going to go buy a plane." She said, "You're going to buy a plane?" I said, "Yeah, well, you know, Karen, I need my own plane because then leasing planes, I mean, they're not really that safe. You know, you never know who's flying them." And so I bought a plane. And so then I woke up another day. These are all true. And Karen said, "What are you going to do?" I said, "Well, today I'm going to go set a world speed record." She said, "Well, how are you going to do that?" I said, "Well, I have a friend who has a really fast plane. And we're going to file all the papers, and we're going to beat the world record." And so I did that. Actually, I did it twice. So in 4 years, I became a pilot, bought a plane, and set 2 NAA and FAI world speed records when I was 56, 57, 58 years old. So at any age, you can choose to learn something. I mean, it doesn't matter how old you are, and it doesn't matter where you are today. It matters where you want to go, and understanding that the success techniques that are possible to allow you to do this. And all these techniques, and we've just touched on a very few of them. I mean, the Billionaire New DVD series is 5 discs, 7 hours. And actually, it's Karen and I. You actually get to hear Karen talk. Karen interviews me, and then there's an also segment like this where I talk. But it's 7 hours, a workbook of answers. The goals program, my goodness, I've written 200 articles, 50 seminars. You know, I mean, amazing. I mean, the goals DVD is 6 hours, 5 DVDs. And here we're trying to interact with everybody and be a little more personable and try to make the point as we talk. But in the DVDs, in the articles, in the seminars, all of which are available, you can listen to all of it and see what it is and what you're doing. One of the things that I would like to end on, because I know it's been a long and very, very challenging week for you all, but I'll share one more personal story. When I was a young man, I had a definition of success, because I didn't have any money. I mean, I had no money. But I knew that I wanted to be successful. And so I said, well, Bob, you need a definition of success. You know, what was my definition of having made it? My definition was that if I could go to the airport, point to a place on the map, and fly a plane there and stay for as long as I wanted, like several weeks. I could just go to the airport, point to that map, and go and stay there for 2 weeks, then I was successful. Then I had made it by my own definition. You know, I didn't know where I really wanted to go, David, but I knew, because I didn't have money and freedom, that I was a prisoner in my own land. My hope, my wish for each and every one of you is that somehow, over this weekend, through all the fine speakers that have talked to you, and maybe with a little bit from myself, that you will find a ticket to wherever your dreams will take you.